Do not worry, we are not doing the show. I wanted to bring this up because it caught my attention, and I had a bit of thinking when I was sleeping. I had this weird dream. Where is it? That is that is this. So if you remember, we had our rankings last night. Today is church day, so there will be no show, of course. The year of our Lord 2025. This is not a part of the show, but I wanted to talk about rivalries because the sport of college football was founded off of rivalries, such as the Egg Bowl, Iron Bowl, good old Queen Old Fashioned Hay, the Red River Rivalry, third Saturday in October. So some of those rivalries have faded into obscurity. It's mainly FCS style rivalries. Some have reinvigorated themselves into this modern era, and some have elite levels that are just they cannot be taken away. Like no matter if it's a 2-10 going up against a undefeated team, the rivalry does not go away. And there's actually two of them that we know of that has been like that for years, eons now. If you probably already know what the first one is. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. Just look at the last 4 years in a row and you'll understand. But I wanted to talk about some of these rivalries that happen during the season. So there's four SEC rivalries that happen during the season that we're mainly going to focus on. We'll expand to the Big 12 and all that later on, like the Holy War and all that. But let's focus on the SEC, and if this does well, we will do ones with the Big 10, Big 12, the ACC, American, and all that. But trust me, those other conferences have some tight history as well. But going to the ACC, going to the SEC, there are four rivalries that take place throughout the season. Obviously, the first one comes to mind is Red River. Every October, it's always every October. Then you have the third Saturday in October between Alabama and Tennessee. You have Georgia and Florida in the year, and then of course you have Oklahoma and Missouri later on down the stretch. And all those are the big ones. There's some other ones in there like Florida and Tennessee and all that happen. But I'm talking like the big four, the big ones that everyone looks on marks their calendar, and that is Missouri, Oklahoma, Georgia. And if you want to include, we'll include the other two as well. We'll include the Alabama and Georgia. We'll call that. I'll get to the name. I'm going to drop a name for that in a moment. And then, of course, the other one is the battle for Tennessee, Vanderbilt versus Tennessee, which actually matters this year, and maybe it will in the future. We'll see. The battle for Tennessee is what I'm going to call it. So, anywho, that's besides the point. Besides that, you have your typical that you play throughout the year, Red River in October and all that. And there's a lot of issues. You could take that into consideration. I get it. It kind of makes sense if you think about it, because there has to be a certain amount of teams that play every week. So because it all goes back to the scheduling. So a team will play at least two FCS schools. Will play at least one out of conference and one FCS school in their record, whether that be Tulane facing Georgia Tech out of the ACC, or Georgia facing Georgia Tech, which is going to be their only one out of conference game. And from there, they've scheduled one out of conference and one FCS school, and every team has that. So the only teams that don't are the Big 10, the Big 12, and anything below the SEC. The only reason is I don't get it why FCS schools decide to go up to the SEC and like, hey guys, what are you doing? Oh fuck, there's Georgia and Oklahoma. We're just going to give you guys a free win. Merry Christmas. And that's basically what you get with FCS schools. They're not even close. The only close one you could probably say would be on a bad day if Temple comes in on a bad day. Other than that, it's practically just cakewalks. So they get their free win in the SEC and they move on. Then you schedule your out of conference, and some of these do schedule are mainly out of conference rivals. So because believe it or not, the SEC there's rivalries in the SEC, but every conference has out of conference rivalries, just like Tulane and Navy and Army. Navy's in the American, Army is in the Big 12? Is it Big 10? I think they're in the Big 12. I got a they in the Big 12. I don't remember. They're out of conference, and so you have those out of conference games. That's why it's like Florida State and Florida exist, and God forbid we ever see that again, because whoo, thing gets heated real quickly. But that's besides the point. So to back it all up, it's based every conference team wants to play their rival from out of state. Michigan wants to play Michigan State. Ohio wants to play whoever they have. Texas, of course, likes to play Texas, not Texas A&M, likes to play their out of conference rival Texas Tech. You know, so you get there's realistic ones, and there's ones like Alabama goes to fight Purdue, and so like, oh, that's good. Go beat up Purdue. Go put up 70. God, I'm still getting shocked about the way Notre Dame put up 70 against Syracuse. That's just not a win. That's not this murder. That's a nuke just being dropped on a school off the planet Earth. Anyways, back to the thing I was talking about. Does bring up the question to me, and I want to kind of go into it today. Again, it's going to be a lot shorter because it's not part of the show. If I can focus, if we can have me focusing, thank you. And again, no beef to the people who have to schedule these, because you have to have a schedule to play, and so it's usually you get jumbled, you get different years where you get different over the yearly rivals. But why not just say, let's make a big slate for all of our rivals on Rivalry Week? That's kind of what I'm talk about today. There's 4 I want to talk about that I already mentioned that I want to say deserve to be in rivalry, because that would be no matter it would honestly be the most entertaining week in college football, even probably in sports. There's 4 games we're going to talk about that I believe deserve. They don't deserve. They need and should be in rivalry week, regardless of what their record is, where they are in the season. They deserve to be in rivalry week. And the first one is the one that I'm obviously going to be vying for the most, and it's the one I wanted to. It's the idea that gave me this idea. Red River. So, why don't we bring this out? Is oh my God, come on, focus, please. Thank you. The reason I brought this up is if you look at Oklahoma's 8, Texas is all the way down. In my rankings, they're all the way at 28. So, say they play this Saturday. Red River happens in rivalry week. What if no need to explain it. You would get, in my opinion, some of the biggest people on the sport to just watch. If you want a way to introduce people to rivalry week, let them watch Oklahoma and Texas go at it. And yes, I know it's a blah, but we'll just consider this year a fluke and move on. Sorry, Texas fans, you've not proven otherwise. You just caught Oklahoma at a bad time. Anyways, which again, it brings up a valid point. Like, if this rivalry game is so huge, why do we have to play it in October? Why not just put it in rivalry? Because then now people not only look for the Iron Bowl, the Queen Old Fashioned Hate, the Army Navy game, Vandy and Texas. Like you get Miami, not Miami. What is the other one? Or get Michigan and Ohio State. Like you get those teams, and you have those be in rivalry week. Ratings are going to skyrocket because people are going to look at them and be like, "Oh my God, we get the Iron Bowl, we get Georgia Tech, we get Ohio State and Michigan, we get all these beautiful games on the last week of the season." And you know what? Let Oklahoma and Texas develop throughout the year. See how they go in the year. Then once their year is done, once we know who those teams are, have them clash in the final week to settle the odds. You can't make the narrative up. It is a storybook ending for those teams. And if you want to go into even further, let's say I have here. I'm going to pull it up. I have another piece of paper right here. If you look at the last 4 years of Red River, so the last 100 years of Red River, That's right. It's been Red River 121, I think. So like, dude, this thing's been going on since the founding of our father of college football. So if you look at this, the last four Red Rivers have decided national champions. You hear me right. Out of every year since the 4 years since the pandemic, all the Red Rivers have some type of playoff implication. What I mean by that, if you win Red River, you're more likely going to get into the playoff. And this year, we avoided what would have been a controversial decision. If you guys remember, it was only a couple of weeks ago that Oklahoma was looking to be 9-3, just like Texas. If you remember, Oklahoma lost in Red River, and just like with Ohio, just like with what is it? Vanderbilt and Alabama? Not Vanderbilt. Tennessee and Alabama. I'm trying to wait. What was it? Oh, sorry, Alabama and Georgia. If you remember in Alabama and Georgia, look at where Alabama is right now. They are right behind Georgia, but they jumped Georgia no matter what because of the head-to-head. So, like I said, if you think about it, that rivalry game, the Red River and earlier on, does play a factor, and that's why it's been through the last 4 years. It's been a factor because if not Texas and Oklahoma get in at 9-3 each, it'll come down to the head-to-head. And the last 4 years, there's only been what? Oklahoma in the last 4 years is gone 2-for-4, gone 2-for-2 against Texas. So the last 2 years, it's been blowouts, and then of course you had Baker Mayfield, you had Caleb Williams or whatever, and you had all that in the 2021, 2022. But it's been 4 years. Texas has lost both. That's lost 2. Oklahoma has won 2 as well. So technically they're tied, and then this year Texas takes the lead for this after 2020 with 8-4 with a 5-2 record ahead of streak over Oklahoma. Although I think differently if these two played, like I said, if this was played now in rivalry week, we would see a completely different result. Which is why I advocate that we have that, and the committee should do that as a permanent rule that every rivalry like that should be played in rivalry. But we'll get into the other ones. Like I said, this whole debate was basically Texas and Oklahoma. So, like I said, we avoided that route, okay? Because Texas has lost. They lost their last 2 games. They lost to Florida. They lost to Georgia. Oklahoma has won their last 2 games. In fact, they actually won 3 of their last games they needed to win. Tennessee, Alabama, and Missouri. And even what better is it even bolsters their record because the Tennessee and Alabama were on the road in their respective. That means they went to Neyland Stadium and Tuscaloosa and Bryan Day Stadium and beat them. That is a championship out of Red River. However, they also beat Missouri at home, and now we're going to beat LSU at home, and so they go 10-2. Texas only has one more in-conference play before they are done for the season. And they can't go against Georgia again because Georgia's already finished their season. They're just waiting for whatever happens in the SEC. They're just chilling back like this, waiting to chaos unfold while they're sitting pretty, waiting for who gets to play them in the championships. A&M, Alabama, who knows? So they're done. Georgia's done. And so Texas can't beat Georgia again if Georgia doesn't play them anymore. So they can't avenge that head-to-head. So now you're looking at Texas 9-3 and Oklahoma 10-2. Since the level of strength of schedule all that matters so much, Texas had the weaker schedule compared to Oklahoma. And and the funny thing is, technically Oklahoma kind of got screwed by everyone else in the SEC. That's right. If you remember in the preseason, let's go back. I'll pull up the preseason because you need to understand the parity. The reason college football exists is just because you say Oklahoma can win it all in the preseason, John Mateer is going to be the Heisman. You have to play the games, and you have to play them in order to find out. I'm gonna do something real quick. While I pull the stuff, I'm gonna let that load in. I'm gonna take this stuff down. Be right back. Okay. Got it taken care of? Alright, yeah. Like I said, church. Let me pull up the preseason. Because this is kind of funny how they got screwed. Week 1. I want to do schedule. Okay, give me teams. I want to go down to Oklahoma. There's Oklahoma. I'm trying to see if, yeah, so here it is. So let me go over, because we're going to go over this based on preseason. It's kind of funny how how Oklahoma got screwed over by everyone in the SEC falling apart. This is why you play the game, folks. So the guaranteed teams that still are in the rankings today, going off of the list: Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, and that's it. They've not played A&M, so they've not played A&M. They've not played Florida, so their only top wins right now. The only teams that are still ranked after 14 weeks of games: Georgia, Ole Miss, and Alabama. So we're gonna go ahead and cross them out. So they're ranked cross. So all three of these are crossed out. Let me explain what happened. The reason this is the hardest schedule is because the backlog. So Illinois State, whatever. Michigan, whatever. You're out of conference. Lose that by 8, as the words of Pittsburgh. Lose by 101. It doesn't affect your record. You're still one. You're still two. You're 1-1, but you're 1-0 in conference. Tempo, same thing. You have so these three right here are basically, if you win them all, you get 3 freebies throughout the season, which is kind of funny because if you think about it, if you look at the backlog, you're talking about you get 3 extra wins, which if you lost these games, you would have been out even if you won these games because you. So basically, Oklahoma needed to win all 3. And there's the parody just read stuff. I wish I could go on for 4 hours about this, but we're gonna keep it simple. So they won their 3 out of conference games, and now they actually played their in conference schedule. The only other thing would be they have to schedule a FBS school, so they have to do Kent State. So, like I said, they can't do their FCS school, of course. So they have their out of conference games, and then they have to schedule an FCS school. So they scheduled Kent State. So technically, we'll just say that Kent State's back up here. And now you have Auburn, Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and LSU. So preseason, all these teams were ranked. We're going to say everyone was ranked 1 through 10. So we'll give Auburn ranked 10. Sorry, so you have Auburn ranked 10. We'll give South Carolina 9. Missouri 8, LSU 7. Sorry, we'll give LSU 8, Missouri 7, and so on and so forth. Hold on. I'm gonna something. Yeah, cool. So, anyways, like I said, all these teams were ranked. So that means you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if all these teams stayed ranked, that means Oklahoma would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 conference teams. If that's not hard, I don't know what is. Florida got worse too because they don't have an FCS school except Florida State, which they play this week. So basically, they get screwed out of the way. So they didn't get those 3 wins. So you're already going up against every major SEC school in the league. So, and like I said, Texas, whatever. But look at this. That means Oklahoma beats ranked Auburn. They lost to Texas. We'll just say Texas was still ranked now, so they be whatever. Had triggers, so both would get the idea. We saw it earlier in the rankings. Oklahoma was 9. I mean, Oklahoma was 12, and Texas was. Sorry, Oklahoma was 13. Texas was 12. You understood, right? Okay. Sorry, not 12. It was Oklahoma was 12. Texas was 11. You saw what happened because they had Red River. That has changed. Texas, look. Also, you can see how John Mateer has grown. Anyways, Texas, we'll say, was a win because they would have won. Their defense would have stepped up. They just caught them after a horrible thing against when John Mateer got his thumb injury. So then they go on the road. They beat South Carolina. Then they come home and Ole Miss. They get a quality loss. We'll say that was a good loss. That loss was earned. Ole Miss won fair and square. So then they beat Tennessee at home. They beat Alabama at home. They get Missouri at home. They win all those, and then they against ranked LSU. So you tell me. Anyways, it's kind of what I'm going to talk about. The other games I can go into at any point, but I don't want to make this too long. Just know that if it wasn't for a damn committee and the rivalry week, we would see Texas and Oklahoma face off in Red River in Red River. Anyways, happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you guys on December 1st. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, of course. May blessed the Lord of the year 2025 with your Lord of the year 2025. Bless him, bless it all. Thank you so much. Please, first and foremost, go to church if you have to. Love you all. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to me. Let's keep going. We'll keep going on this train until the very end. And then we'll have all of off season to talk about everything. There's still a lot of football left. I'll see you guys on December 1st. Have a happy holidays. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, and I'll see you for Christmas. I'm Alex. We're gone and going. Man, I love college football.